All right, Jacob, is the series over? Knicks lead 2-0. Wemby has decent numbers, but not playing the best. The turnover last night was rough. Is the series over going back to Madison Square Garden?
No. I don't think it's definitely not over. I think for me, the big kind of like thing that I was thinking about was Mikal Bridges' interview after game 2, in which he was strictly business. And he just reminded them that it's foot on the gas pedal. And a lot of people were like, well, how come he isn't relaxing a little bit? And how come he, isn't smiling, happy post game? And then I remembered he was on the losing end of the 21 finals, in which Phoenix goes up 2-0 after the first 2 games. And then everything goes downhill after that. And obviously the Bucks winning 4 straight. It's a little bit different now because San Antonio has to go to New York. I think the only thing that I'm going to hang my hat on in terms of a potential San Antonio comeback is that San Antonio would have to become the road dogs that we've seen in the Oklahoma City series last round in the conference finals, pairing that with the Knicks having to win at home, and the Garden's going to be buzzing. New York City is going to be alive and electric, and it's an environment that nobody has ever played in on that team. The only person with experience in that organization from the last time they went to the finals is Rick Brunson. And you're just going to have to hold for hope and keep your fingers crossed if you want San Antonio to win, with the fact that they just tighten up at home and they get way too nervous with that crowd. So a very interesting first 2 games. And I know that we'll talk about it in full, but this is not a position that I'm going to raise my hand and say I was wrong. This is not a position that I thought they were ever going to be in New York. And I can't believe they took the first 2 in San Antonio. I never would have guessed that has happened. And you got to give them credit. They've handled every punch San Antonio has thrown their way. They've been really resilient and gritty throughout this series. And it starts with Jalen Brunson and it works from the bottom down. So I got to give credit where credit's due. But I don't think that this series is over quite yet.
Okay. I'm annoyed with this series. And I told you last night, and this is partly me was just coping last night, because realistically, I didn't care who won. At the beginning of this, I was like, this is going to be great storyline either way. But it's just the and this is going to sound like I'm hate watching the Knicks now, and I promise you I'm not. I really don't care if they win. I like Jalen Brunson and all that. Seeing Cat in the game yesterday and one of his post-game or pre-game conferences, I don't know if you saw that, but him just talking about, we're just taking it one game. And it's like, they're literally becoming what everybody hated about the Thunder last year. It's just like, why are you guys doing this? Like, I would much more love to see that more like New Yorker braggadocious and just like borderline arrogance. But it's just like, I'm not enjoying the Mikal Bridges post game. I'm not enjoying the Cat, because now I feel like I'm just watching Oklahoma City in New York. And same thing with Brunson, which I really like Jalen Brunson, but it's like, okay, dude, you got to stop with so much of the flopping, because again, it's like, you don't need to do it, which we're going to get on Jalen Brunson too. Well, not get on Jalen Brunson, but I'm going to ask you about what you think about this. He has not been the most efficient through these 2 games, right? Like, if you're New York, where are you concerned with him at all? Because obviously you went crazy in the fourth quarter in game 1. Didn't have the best of performances last night. The efficiency has not been great from the floor for Jalen Brunson over these last 2 games. Is there any concern? So game 1, 30 points on 31 shots, 2 of 9 from the 3-point line, right? You don't love that, but obviously he went crazy. So it's kind of like, is that more so, we'll kind of just take it and get away with it. And then last night, 7 for 25, 2 for 8 from the 3-point line. Yeah. Is there any part of you concerned if you're the Knicks saying, okay, Jalen hasn't been the guy? Or, like delusional fans we can be, do you turn this and say, hey, Jalen's not even being efficient, and we're up 2-0 going back to New York, and he still won us a game already?
It's both. To answer your question, it's both. And
I hate when you do that.
But I think, well, for a couple different reasons. I think the second part of your statement that you made is the Knicks fans' mindset. That's New York. That's the New Yorker mindset, which is we're up 2-0 and Burnson hasn't even played well. OMG, OMG, OMG. Let's start the parade. That's the New York fans' mindset. The beginning
Which
part
I'm
of
cool
that
with.
a little bit. So when I say both, I'm not talking about like I'm not talking about like the New York Knicks individual mindset. I'm more so talking the fan mindset. Like that's what Ben Stiller and Timothy Chalamet are saying. They can't believe they're up 2-0 and Burnson hasn't even been playing efficiently.
Do you think Ben Stiller and Timothy Chalamet are understanding the inefficiency? Because low-key, Jalen Brunson is putting up Russell Westbrook numbers.
Well, they know ball. They know ball. The both of them know ball. I
didn't know you were friends with them. That's impressive, Jacob.
No. If there's an old tweet surfacing from 2010 with Landry Fields talking about Tim Chalamet, like that's ball knowledge, and I'm confident in Stiller. The worrisome part, I'm gonna flip that. I don't think it's a worry of Jalen Brunson. I just think that when you see the reserved comments that are made by Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, I think it's because Burnson hasn't played well, pairing that with what is on the other side of this battle, which is you have to sleep with one eye open with Victor Wembanyama. I understand that for his standards and by his measurements, it's been a lackluster first two games. So we're still waiting for the 40-20 game that's supposed to happen at some point this series, if it does happen. And because of some of the plus minus numbers and how they've squeaked out these two, maybe not squeaked out, but how close and how back and forth these two games have been, because it's Wembanyama on the other side, you have to proceed with caution. There's not going to be some of this like, LSU women's basketball level of delusion and trash talk. You're not going to see that with the New York Knicks because of who they're playing on the other side. So
I want to see it. I want to see it. Rick Brunson made me annoyed yesterday, calling De'Aaron Fox soft and saying you're not tough. But I'm almost like, you know what? If New York is going to win it, this needs to be the most New York, because you think if the Yankees get to the World Series and are up 2-0, I feel that you're going to get New York coming out of that group.
Maybe. I don't know. In professional sports, I think it's a little bit different. And when this city's been so starved for any type of success, dating back to the 90s with Patrick Ewing and obviously their last championship coming in the 70s, you can't, you're begging to be clipped by showing any type of arrogance. You're just asking for it. And the moment they start to get arrogant, which I know you're pulling for secretly, the moment they start to get arrogant is the moment San Antonio gets back into the series. So the moment they start puffing their chest out and walking with their head a little bit higher than normal, San Antonio is going to find a way to claw back into the series. So I get they're going to take the PR route, especially for Karl Anthony Towns and especially for Jalen Brunson. And that's how I feel about the Knicks, just in terms of like where their mindset is heading into Game 3 on Monday.
Okay, so we texted about this too, about some of the narratives now with Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah,
and right now he's probably, I would guess, Finals MVP if it was just after these two games.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that? First and foremost, before we go to the next,
yeah,
thing, you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. He had 21 and 13 in game 2 and had 18 and 12 in game 1 and has been really, really good.
And I think you're getting a piece
from the floor.
Efficient too. Okay, so and this is where I think too, where I actually do want to give him credit as well, because it's just annoying because it is. I'm not annoyed, and I will say this again. I'm not annoyed with the Knicks. I'm annoyed with the media. Not even the fans.
Yeah.
Like Knicks fans going crazy.
Yeah.
Go crazy as you should. You guys are 2 wins away from a ridiculous playoff run.
Yeah.
And which is crazy if we get to the end of this and the Hawks are the only team to take 2 off of New York. How good are you feeling in Atlanta going into next season? But realistically, I think too with Cat, and I'm going to ask you if you think this is it. I feel like he's going to also get boosts like we saw when Iggy won the NBA Finals MVP for slowing down LeBron. I think you're going to get that too because the numbers are there. And I think with Wemby obviously hasn't performed up to what we saw. I mean, we kind of saw this out of Wemby in the Thunder series, but we didn't see it back-to-back games.
Yeah.
If we saw him have a low efficiency night, it was met by a ridiculous game the next day and just completely man on a mission.
Yeah.
So I feel like Cat is going to get the nod there too, where it's like, okay, I think he's averaging the most points. He's been efficient, super efficient last night. And I think he's going to get a nod to say, well, he's guarding Wemby most of the time. It's him and OG. But realistically, I think Wemby has struggled more against Cat than he has against OG. Do you attribute that to Cat, or is this just Wemby not playing well right now?
I think I'm going to attribute it to Cat. I think going into this series, I thought that if Wembanyama was going to play poorly, it was going to be Wembanyama. And I'm not going to say this is 100% Karl Anthony Towns is doing. I think some of that, like Wemby alluded to, or even flat out said in his post-game press conference after game 2, when he admitted that he probably shouldn't have gotten as high as he did, and there's a little bit of an emotional crash from the Western Conference Finals. He got too amped, and he said that himself in the post-game presser. I think a little bit of his struggles is attributed to that. Majority of his struggles are attributed to Karl Anthony Towns. Going into the series, I knew that Wembanyama would have to come out of the paint to defend Cat on the perimeter, but I didn't think it was going to be like so much of that factor contributing to the Wemby struggles. And I think that's a big reason of it. Just comparing Hartenstein and Chet to Cat, you got to give Cat credit. It's funny to me how we're a year removed from saying that Minnesota won the deal, and then now all of a sudden they lost the deal. And even when that trade was first made, I think it made sense for both sides because of the stopgap at center with Gobert. It made sense that they needed a Dante DiVincenzo, and the Knicks needed Karl Anthony Towns. They needed a center. If Mitchell Robinson would have started, it would have been bad, or if Hartenstein would have started, it would have been bad. So the trade always made sense for both sides. It was just always dependent on whether or not it was going to work out for either team, because you kind of had that feeling where, okay, I could see this go really well, but I could also see this go really south. And the Knicks could end up missing DiVincenzo. The Wolves could end up missing Karl Anthony Towns. It's funny to see the resurfaced 2016 GM poll where who would you start a franchise with, and Cat won that poll. It's funny to see kind of like that resurface. But he's been fantastic on Wembanyama. It's very interesting to see if we are going to not have this be a knock against Wemby, similar to it's so funny. A lot of people are asking, is this like 2012 OKC? Are they ever going to get back? Is this like a 2011 LeBron where we're just going to hold this against Wembanyama for the rest of the time? Or is this a 2022 Boston? I know you're saying, oh my goodness, at them, not me, because you've seen this as well. And like, or is this like a 2022 Jason Tatum Boston Celtics where you just need kind of like this stumble in order to get over the hump in a couple seasons from now? It's going to be interesting to see, but this series is not over. So I'm like jumping the gun here, but the narrative surrounding Wembanyama are fascinating. Can I say one more point before I give you the floor? I want to say one. It's funny to me that it's turned into who cares if Brunson shoots 40 shots? Empty the clip. Like, who cares about efficiency? You're trying to win a championship. Just empty the clip. Take as many shots as possible. You're trying to win games. Who cares? They're up 2-0. If they were losing, it would be, oh my God, Brunson. Oh my God. But also at the same time, this is the same thing that Tatum went through in 2022. He shot 30% from the floor in the finals against Golden State, and that was a knock on his resume. And it's funny that like all you have to do is win games. It doesn't matter how many shots you miss. Or we tried to, even when
until you're Jason Tatum and do it, because realistically, which this is, we don't need to turn this into a Celtics thing, but but again, it's playing out. Brunson. It's playing out that potentially the Knicks win this series. Cat gets Finals MVP,
which I hope happens.
Brunson is not going to get killed. There's not going to be anything towards
probably
Brunson.
Not. Yeah, probably
Brunson
not.
will still get the credit for it, even if Cat wins Finals MVP. But
of course,
that's.
The
but no, look, if you're here, Yeah, if you're here, like the video, share the live, get your comments in. Misery says greetings from the ATL. Yeah,
ATL,
Hawks.
baby.
Somebody needs to call. Who's I can't even remember the coach of the Hawks is. They've changed it so much.
Quinn Snyder.
Quinn Snyder is okay. Someone needs to call Quinn Snyder from San Antonio and say, "Look, how did you guys beat these guys twice?" But and the answer is simple.
Funny.
Mikal Bridges literally couldn't throw a rock in the ocean, and now
last
night he was cooking.
And isn't Quinn Snyder a Popovich guy? Yeah, he was a Popovich guy. He was the head coach of the Austin Toros in the G League. So I know he has a relationship with Pop. So you'd think that somebody within the Spurs department hit up Quinn Snyder to say, hey, what did you see? How did you get this done? Or maybe it was just all CJ McCollum. Who knows?
I think realistically, though, going back to that series, those first 3 games, it was a mix of Mikal Bridges not being able to hit the rim. And the Knicks weren't shooting like they were now. Like the difference last night was that the Spurs had that game, and when they crawled and made the comeback, New York shot almost 40% from 3, which is something they've done against the Spurs. I think there's 37% on the year from the 3-point line as a team, which is going to be a few percentage points higher than everybody else against the Spurs. But this is where I think there's a piece of this of just like, I still think the Spurs are better, but this feels like, and this is when we've kind of debated these things before as to what is the best playoff atmosphere as far as like American sports. And I've gone baseball, you've gone hockey. This feels like the Knicks have just hit an all-time heater, and it just doesn't really matter right now.
And similar to really a lot of champions in the National Hockey League. Were the 2012 Los Angeles Kings the best team in hockey that year? No, they were god-awful. Vegas this year. Boston in 2011, they were like the 4 seed when they went on their run. All it takes is momentum and just getting hot. And that's what makes hockey a great playoff sport. In the past, you kind of really haven't seen that a ton with the NBA until this year with the New York Knicks. Are the 26 Knicks, if they win the title, an all-time team? No. Are they the best team from the Eastern Conference in this era? I'd still argue that like the Halliburton Pacers, potentially the 24 Celtics with Tatum, you could even stack up this team against the 21 Bucks, or even like the Jimmy Butler Heat, depending on what happens in this series. And I'm not even trying to do the whole annoying like first take, like how good is this team? But to prove your point and to go back on your earlier statement, all you need is just a couple weeks of momentum, and boom, championship can be yours. It's crazy how it works, and that's what makes it great.
But that's the crazy thing too about this Knicks team is that I thought maybe was it 9 days they had off.
Yeah, everybody was talking about the rust.
It was like, okay, could it potentially be? And I think they had it a little bit, honestly, because they did shoot 30% from 3 in game 1 versus almost 40% last night in game 2. But again, you had Brunson go all-time, a horrible start, but all-time heater in second half and fourth quarter. So this is where it is interesting with the Knicks, man. And I just don't know what to make of it, because it is that thing. And I told you yesterday, I was like, we're just in an era of basketball where it's just like, there's not going to be this dominant run. And are the Knicks favorite? And if everybody's healthy in the East next year, are the Knicks favored? No,
they will be if they win they will be if they win the championship.
No,
if they don't,
Halliburton is coming back. So look, you know what? Actually, to make Knicks fans mad, y'all need to be thanking that Halliburton decided not to come back this year, because you guys really are one injury away from Indiana going back to back.
If they win the championship, if the Knicks win the championship, they should be favored in the East next season. Regardless of the Pacers, regardless of the Celtics, everybody's going to try to capitalize on this momentum. I think like betting the under for wins next season for New York is like an easy smash, depending on what their win total is next season. It is so fascinating. But the series is not over. Not with who's on the other side. It just doesn't feel over. I want to ask you. I want you to make a prediction. Can I put you on the spot?
Yep.
If the Knicks win tomorrow, when does the series end? And if the Spurs win tomorrow, when does the series end?
If the Knicks win tomorrow,
they sweep? Because I don't even think they sweep if they win Monday.
I think if the Knicks win tomorrow, they sweep.
Wow.
This feels like this is how it is to me, and we're going to turn this into a Wemby thing. If the Spurs win tomorrow,
Yeah.
I think everybody will shift back to it, depending on what type of win it is. I think everybody will shift back to, oh, the Spurs are the better team. And it'll immediately
So
go,
people are going to
okay,
calm down
Spurs
if
and
they win
6,
game
Spurs
3.
and 7. But
Sure.
I think so, yeah. But I think because last night, I mean, they probably they should have won last night. They honestly choked that, and we can bring that up now.
Yeah.
Speaking on Wemby finally got it going. Took 4 shots in the first half, 22 second half points. But the last 2 plays, right? And we kind of talked about this. So I want you to go off on your thing with the turnover. I think part of my issue with the turnover last night was that we've seen him at times immediately. It's not that he's panicking or anything like that, because we saw him hit the game 1 shot against OKC. But that was one where it was like, I've got the ball, I'm keeping the ball, and I'm pulling this thing. We've seen him now in a game against Minnesota and in a game now against New York, where it's like, okay, Wemby, you're that guy. You can handle the rock. It seems at times he's immediately trying to get rid of it.
Deferring.
And that's what I think it is, where it's like, okay, in that situation, man, like I want to see you just keep it and not try to force a different. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's always hindsight's always 2020, so it doesn't really matter. You didn't want to kill him for the turnover at the end.
No,
I don't think he needs to be killed for it. But it is something where it's like, I think if Wemby does enter that stratosphere, and I think he will, he's on a GOAT trajectory. I think this is going to be a moment that people will look at and say, this was the moment that maybe it turned, or this was the moment where he showed his age. And this is where, see, all along, you're not winning a title in your first run. You don't know enough yet. And this is where 3 years down the road, when he's trying to get ring number 2, and now you see him, okay, I'm not giving this ball up to Harper or Castle in any situation. This is my ball. I'm taking the shot, or I'm at least going to bring it up and not turn it over. But it happens. And it's also when it happened, because that play happens all the time in basketball. This is just magnified because it's the NBA Finals, and it ended up in a turnover that gave Brunson the opportunity to take the lead. But you go ahead and give your take on it, because I know you had some interesting stuff on it too. We talked about last night.
I think that play in and of itself is the textbook definition of inexperience. And I'm not saying like just Wemby, but also the Spurs, because I don't hate the fact that Mitch Johnson didn't call timeout. I don't hate that. They perfectly executed the 2-for-1. They were going to get the ball back regardless of how the next possession went. Yes, he shouldn't have immediately tried to kick it ahead to Castle, is who he threw it off of. So he shouldn't immediately he shouldn't have got the rebound, looked up court and kick it, because he did have time. But there was like a buffer period where they didn't know whether or not there was going to be a timeout called. They realized there wasn't a timeout called. So what you have to practice and what you have to get better at and what you have to perfect when it comes to, your trajectory and maturity throughout the league and your growth in the sport of basketball is, what does the offense look like when we know that we got the defensive rebound and then we're kicking it up ahead or pushing it up ahead post lack of timeout being called. So they obviously hadn't gone through that enough to where they could rep it perfectly, because
you should already have a play. You should already have a play.
You should know what you're doing.
Whoever is running the play needs to come get the ball. And that is where it is interesting, where this is now NFL stuff. Did the receiver run the wrong route, or the quarterback threw a bad ball?
Right.
And this is, I'm not going to blame Castle, but this is also it's funny. I was talking to, this is a couple weeks ago. As a guard, I would get pissed if at all times, you should know where you should see the back. At no point should you ever completely turn your back to where the basketball is. And as a guard, Stephon knows that too. But this is where I think the inexperience.
Hurley probably lost his shit or lost his stuff.
Hurley, you're fine. It doesn't matter. Hurley probably called Stephon and was like, "You're coming back to stores and running stairs." But
that's what you're talking about. Like, nobody on that court, including Mitch Johnson, have ever been in that situation before. So I'm totally cool with Mitch not calling timeout, but Wemby needs to settle down. Castle needs to settle down and keep his head on a swivel. Fox needed to go bark at him and go get the basketball. But in that moment, was it a tough turnover? Was it a bad turnover? Yes. It didn't lose them the game. They were fine.
What made it worse? What made it worse?
Honestly, nothing. Not in that play.
No, what I'm saying is what made it worse is this is where, and this is comes back to when I've done this as a coach and then as a player too. You've turned it over, and then you make matters worse because he runs and immediately fouls Jalen Brunson. Because he's trying to make up for it. It's
still worked out.
Piece,
but it worked out though. I get what you're saying. He should.
But that's where I think too. It's just like, okay, now you're trying to press, and you've almost made a second mistake, and he knew that too. But it was again. Sure. I think this is the first time to me. I think we've seen it, the inexperienced piece of the Spurs show. And again, it's just like, wow, I can't believe they did that. But then it's like, yeah, they're 19, 20, and 22.
And it'll turn into a terrific TikTok edit after the fact, like you said, when he's working on ring number 2. In the moment,
documentaries still go crazy, man. These are all just documentary moments.
They weren't screwed. They weren't screwed just yet, because even if Brunson had hit both free throws, it was still going to be a 1-possession game.
And he went 1 for 2, which is the other thing that nobody's talking about.
And he went 1 for 2. So they get, which, by the way, Cornette almost gave up that offensive rebound too, which would have screwed them, and that would have been the dagger. That would have been the nail in the coffin. He did get away with the kickball, which I told Claire in the moment when we were live. I'm like, live play, bang, bang. People like that's going to be like, how did they get it wrong? It shouldn't have counted. But like in the moment, you're not sitting there like, we lost that game. Like, ref's not going to call that. Not in the finals. Yeah. Not when
Luke Cornette knows that.
And Luke Cornette knows that. Boston Celtics, that's Missoula coaching. But they get the ball back. They're down by 1 with 7 seconds left, and they got a shot for the win. So regardless of the turnover, they had the opportunity to win the game. And regardless of the last missed shot, regardless of the turnover, like where the game was won and lost is when it was the second game in a row that you're up by 12 points, 14 points, and you let the Knicks claw back into this game. You give up second chance opportunities. You're giving up offensive rebounds. You're not making winning basketball plays outside of dire time, because you have to do what's necessary to avoid crunch time against this team. And because you're not doing that, you're getting to crunch time, then it turns into a 50-50. That's when the Wembenyama turnover happens, or, they go on a personal 7-0 run, or what have you, especially like the 7-point swing in game 1 where they give up the offensive rebound of Brunson. Brunson hits the 3. They come back down. They give up another offensive rebound with like 7 seconds left in the shot clock. De'Aaron Fox bails out Mikal Bridges with a foul, and like that put the nail in the coffin in game 1. So it's like,
and the Jose Alvarado foul from Stephon Castle picking up his 5th. It's
exactly
just like they're showing their inexperience right now. They are, and they're finally showing their inexperience.
The last point I made, the only pet peeve I had with that whole last sequence, because I understand, like I agree with the no timeout by Mitch Johnson. The Wembenyama turnover was tough, but they got the defensive rebound to call timeout. They had the ball for game. Where I disagreed on the execution of that last play. Did you have any qualms about that last play? Because I had one.
Well, I know what your qualm is, so I'll let you. I don't have a massive qualm with it. I think realistically, well, I don't want to steal your thunder, so I'm going to let you go ahead and do it. But if you're listening though too, please like the video, share the live, get your comments in. We're almost through our thoughts here, so go ahead and get your stuff in, and we'll read those out and talk about that as well. We appreciate you guys being here. Please like the video. Jacob, what is your qualm with the De'Aaron Fox and Wemby final play of that game last night?
Fox took too long. Fox needs to go immediately on the catch because you're dribbling down the clock to get it to from like 7 seconds to 3 or 4 seconds before you kick it to Wemby, and Wemby has no choice but to put it up. So then the defense is gonna collapse and close out harder. They're gonna overcommit to the closeout because they know that there's not enough time to put the ball on the floor. If you immediately go, and the moment you catch it at 7, you immediately turn into the high screen and roll and go, and you're working with 5 to 6 seconds, that's better than 2 to 3 seconds. And when he kicks it to Wemby can't do anything besides like a shot fake into a jumper or like a one dribble pull up into a jumper. If he would have had 2 to 3 more seconds, he could have taken 2 dribbles to use his length to create that separation to get that final shot off. And I just think down 1 in the finals, 4th quarter with game on the line, Fox does not need to hold the ball, take 1 dribble, take 2 dribble, and then go off of the ball screen. He needs to catch, rip, and go. like immediately. And I think that him waiting too long put Wembanyama into a tough shot to make. He was capable of hitting it and he still missed it. But I just think from an execution standpoint, they could have gotten a better shot offensively.
Yeah, well, I just looked and watched the replay too. Part of it will, and I know you don't have it pulled up, but part of this too, when looking at the replay, Wemby's not in his motion either. So again, like that's where it's like Fox wants to go. Wemby's not moving yet. And then eventually they finally get into it. But again, I think this is ultimately the narrative of game 2 was that game 1, you're up big, you blow the lead. And then game 2, you're down, you go up, you have the ball, you're up 2 with 45 seconds left to go, I believe. And turnover by Wemby, foul by Wemby, Burnson free throw, De'Aaron and Wemby again seeming like they're not on the same page. Like I think last night just came down to 2 massive plays. Everybody's not on the same page, and that's ultimately what ended up doing the Spurs in, and it could cost them the playoffs. We've talked too about Mike Brown a bit, and where from what I see, Spurs made a defensive adjustment last night. I think it worked. I think it did well. Obviously, I think they've done actually a pretty good job on Burnson through these first 2 games. He's not been super efficient. 20 points for him is very, very low. I think he's averaged 28 over the last 3 years in the playoffs. So holding him to 20 on, 2 of 8 or 3 of 8 shooting from the 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a good counter to letting him give you 30, even though he took 31 shots in game 1. The Knicks didn't seem to do anything different. Like this has basically just been, to me, I feel like, and I'll let you kind of go into Mike Brown if you want to get into all that, but I think realistically the Knicks are just saying, okay, can we keep it close enough to have the most clutch player in the league, which has been Jalen Brunson for a couple of years now, close these games out, and can we get one game where the others win? And I think last night they got the others to win between Cat and Mikal Bridges and all that. And I think OG had 17 on 5 of 10. Cat had 21 on 8 of 12, 3 of 5 from the 3. Bridges had 20 on 8 of 13. Robinson was 2 of 2 from the field. Shamet was 5 of 12. And then I think one of the big moments too, like we talked about, was Jose Alvarado getting Castle to bite on that 3, which is just like, it's so bad because it's like if Jose Alvarado hits a step back corner 3 fade away on you, you just put your hands up and say, okay, bro, whatever, but don't let him bite you into that. But I think last night, game 1, they ran there, keep it close enough and let Burnson bring you home. Check. Yeah. Game 2, the others won. All right, now can Burnson get you? He's got 3 games in New York to win you 2. That's why I do think that the series is over. I know I hadn't answered that question yet. I do think that the series is over, though. I know you feel like it's still there. It's still for the taking. We've seen this before, but I think the biggest thing now is that if you're New York and you felt like we have 3 home games to win 2, even if we don't win again in San Antonio, I mean, I think it's over. I think the Spurs last night was the make or break, and I think they had it and they should have won. And we could, we're Jalen Brunson not hitting a corner 3 and Wemby not turning the ball over last night from the Spurs being up 2-0. But that's like the fine margins of it. But I think now you've bit off more you can chew going back to New York. I think it's over. I think it's over. And if the Knicks win tomorrow, then then I think the Spurs are getting swept. I do. I just think you have to have so much mental toughness and ability to respond down 3-0. Even if they split 1-1, even if they split 1-1, they're not winning that series. I don't think. Yeah. So this is it. They've got to win both games in New York. And then you can reset the series. But look, they beat the Thunder twice. They were down 3-2 against the Thunder. So it's not against the realm of possibilities, but Wemby's gonna have to have an insane game tomorrow night. Or Monday night.
Can I fantasize about something with you real quick?
Yeah.
Dude, can you imagine how fun it'd be if they tied this up 2-2 and we went into a best of 3 for the championship? Wouldn't that be amazing?
Wemby would be the GOAT. Wemby would be back to the GOAT.
But Wouldn't that be amazing though? If we could get a 2-2 series.
I hope it does happen, because at this point, I literally, again, I'm back at the point now. Like, once I get away from New York, some of the New York fans, I'm like, okay, you know what? Again, I don't care who wins. I really don't care who wins this series. I would love to just see it go at least 6 or 7. But
my cinema is they take both in New York. Then Spurs win 3. Then Spurs go up. So Spurs win the next 3. My ideal is Spurs win the next 3. New York wins game 6, and then Spurs win game 7. That's like my if I could get that, it would be like I would be well fed for generations.
Yeah,
but I'm afraid you're right. I'm afraid
we're closer to us. Yeah.
I'm afraid they split. Spurs win game 5. Knicks close out in 6.
Also, before we get out of here, okay, I've got to shout out Jason DeCaro. Okay, if anybody knows JD, all right, guys, give this dude some shout out. I was at the Carolina baseball game today. They were down 1-0 to USC in the series, Super Regionals. Dude, 9 innings pitched, 2 hits, 0 earned runs, and pitched all 9 innings to close that out and put Carolina win 4-0 for a winner take all tomorrow to go to the College World Series. Man, absolutely sick. Shout out that. Bro, it's just sick. Like, this is part of it too, where it's like, it's just sick watching people just ball out. And that's where we're at, man. So hopefully game 3, somebody balls out. I don't care if it's for the Knicks or the Spurs, but I just hope we get something memorable in the Garden. Because I think what's the worst thing that could happen is that they're just blowouts now from this point. Like, I'm fine with the Knicks winning, but can it just can we get a Burnson game winner? Like, I think at this point, I just want to see something magical happen.
Dude, that crowd pop would be nuts. I do want to say 2 things. My last 2 points. Need Canes tonight. Let's go up 2-1.
Yep.
And unfortunately, can I just delete and go back on everything that I just said and say that this series is over?
Why?
I just got word that a former New York Knicks player will be in the building. It's not Charles Oakley. They didn't squash beef. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But I got the word that somebody is going to attend the Garden for the first time in 14 years and is going back as a spectator for the first time. And it's Jeremy Lin. So I'm afraid Lin Sanity's in the building for game 3 and 4. I'm afraid that this series is over. They're not losing with Jalen in the house, man. It just can't happen. It can't happen. They can't lose with Insanity in the building. All of New York, crime rates are down for like the first time in centuries, it feels like. This is Mom Donnie's New York, and we're all just living in it. And the Knicks are here, man. The dynasty starts today.
Wow, dynasty. And on that, we're gonna close out. But yeah, I think I'll actually go Spurs win. I'll go Spurs win on Monday night.
I am too. I think Wemby. We're gonna get like the Wemby, like the LeBron game 6 against Boston image. We're gonna get like the Wemby, like he's gonna. Yeah. We got you already see it. You already know what's coming.
Hidden back shoulder shade fades. I don't even do back shoulder fades like that.
I'm not even
LeBron, man.
Fake left hook kind of guy. That's funny.
All right. Well, look, appreciate you guys being here. Please like the video, hit subscribe to your name in the portal. Jacob, where do we go? We'll be back, I guess, post game 4.
Series I'm down to do a post game. Yeah, post game Monday.
So we'll see we'll see what happens next 2 games in New York. We'll be back post game 4, but we got college basketball. Some more videos coming up on that too. So please get involved with the channel. Find us on TikTok for more live shows as well. A little bit more interactive, but appreciate you guys being here. Jacob, thank you as always. Go Canes tonight.
Go Canes, baby.
We're going into Vegas with on a mission. I think Canes in 5, man. I think it's going to be a gentleman's sweep. So shout out Carolina.
Need it.
All right. In live. Good show.